Thank you for watching this week's Weatherquest farming forecast. We're going to start the farming forecast this week by taking a look at some world weather headlines in relation to agriculture around the world, and starting off in Western Russia and Ukraine, where we've seen some dry conditions of late. That has accelerated the harvest there, but also leading to some slight drought concerns in that part of the world as well. So that's something to kind of keep an eye on for the next few weeks as to how much rain they get in that part of the world and how it affects the finish of the harvest and planting of winter crop. So in Australia, we've also been dealing with some relatively dry conditions, and that's reduced the moisture available for some of the winter grain and oilseed there. Opposite problems in Canada. We've had excessive rainfall, some heavy showers and thunderstorms in south central parts of Canada. So particularly for the key growing areas, that's slowed field work with the harvest going on. And in Argentina, timely rainfall, so some useful rainfall there for the winter grain crop being grown. Closer to home, we've had a couple of weeks of drier weather recently, but that's come to an end in the last few days, and we've seen an area of low pressure just to our west, pushing areas of rain and thunderstorms northeastwards across southern parts of Britain, and some heavy rain in there too. You can see some of the whites in there indicating some of the heavier rain as it tracks northeastwards. This was from Tuesday morning, the 24th of September, as that low pressure moved across, and we've added on top of that the rainfall accumulation during that time period. So this is from mid-afternoon on the 23rd of September to mid-afternoon on the 24th of September, highlighting this area in purple here, showing rainfall amounts in excess of 50 millimeters. In fact, Boscombe Down, one of the weather stations in that area, reported 56 millimeters of rain during that period, on especially Tuesday morning, as that rain tracked northeastwards. But many areas in the oranges and reds there seeing in excess of 25-30 millimeters of rain, so over an inch of rain across a lot of the central part of Britain. If you'd like to keep up with this rain yourself, you can subscribe to WQRadar.co.uk. You get 5-minute radar updates. You also can see lightning, and what's also useful is that you get the access to the weather observation network as well, so you can see official rainfall totals from weather stations around the country too. So always useful to kind of keep up with that. So the surface chart that was driving all this rain today, we had low pressure sitting just to the west of Ireland here. What you're seeing with the rain stretching across Britain here is an occluded front that pushed its way eastwards, and some of the green colors in there indicating some of the heavier rainfall. So that was the chart for around mid-morning, late morning on Tuesday, with that heavy rain crossing that we saw on the radar. So for the next few days, what happens? Well, we see that area of low pressure continuing to track eastwards. It weakens somewhat, but all the blue on the chart still indicating quite a bit of rainfall in places, and if anything, another deep area of low pressure in the North Atlantic starts to develop and moves near Scotland toward the weekend, and that will continue to feed showers from west to east and occasional fronts as well. So this unsettled weather that we've gotten into the last couple of days, we're expecting it to stick with us, it looks like, through at least the weekend, maybe into the first part of next week too, and that is leading to some issues. We've talked a little bit about spraying over the last couple of episodes, and there aren't many spraying opportunities between now and early next week, so I just wanted to highlight one. I think we could just be in between weather systems for a few hours on Saturday evening before the next rain event arrives, which could bring some heavier rain later on Saturday night into Sunday morning. But on Saturday evening, there is a potential there of getting in a few hours of spraying. So if you've got some left to do, you might want to just flag that in the back of your mind as an opportunity to get that finished. Now, we like to look at the precipitation minus the evaporation for the next 10 days to see how our ground conditions will be in about 10 days' time. So if you think about how the ground is at the moment, whether it's going to be wetter or drier than it currently is in 10 days' time, this is what this is kind of showing us here. So it's rainfall minus the evaporation during that period. And this is ensemble data, so there's lots of lines. Those are the individual model runs kind of showing you a range of possibility. The thing to note here is that this started from midnight on Monday night into Tuesday morning, showing the heavy rain we saw on Tuesday, taking us up to about 20 millimeters in the Cambridge area. And then between Tuesday night and through probably about Saturday, we're going to see some scattered showers, but some breezy conditions as well. So probably not adding a huge amount of rainfall into the ground, although it will be unsettled. There'll be some wind and rain around, not long periods of that. But then Saturday night into Sunday, that's the time period I was mentioning with the next more active weather system coming in. So another jump in rainfall there. So by the end of the 10-day period, we're potentially going to be about 35 to 40 millimeters wetter than we currently are on the ground, or we were at least at the end of yesterday. But you can see the range of possibility there. All the ensemble members indicating that we'll have more rain than evaporation over the next 10 days. Some of them as much as 70 millimeters more though, so quite a range there. But I think the bulk of those sort of scattered in that 1 to 2 inch category, 25 to 50 millimeters of rain. So certainly looking like a wetter and more unsettled spell of weather coming up. If you'd like to know more detail about some of this on a day-to-day basis and how things are changing, you can always ring our forecasters. We're available on 09065 777675. Calls at £1.55 per minute, and you can speak directly to a forecaster between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Every day of the week. So now we're moving into our monthly forecast section of the video, and where we're looking at week 2, which is from the end of September through to the first week. Basically, this is the first week of October. This is the pressure anomaly chart. So the blue on the chart here showing lower than average pressure in those locations, and the red up here showing higher than average pressure, but dominated by lower than average pressure across the North Atlantic and into the continent as well, and maybe just some slightly higher than normal pressure down to the south. But what that's going to mean is weather systems continuing to feed in from west to east across the British Isles, and the rainfall anomaly chart here showing that will be above average rainfall just about everywhere during that first week of October. So we'll continue that more unsettled spell of weather that we've made it into in the last couple of days. Temperatures as well, because we're feeding air in off the Atlantic, fairly warm this time of year at the end of the summer into the autumn. So we're expecting temperatures to be slightly above average as well. Probably no hot days in there, but just 1 or 2 degrees above average almost every day of the week. So that's probably why we're generating those anomalies of maybe a degree or so warmer than we normally would be. Into week 3, second week of October, we still see the pattern very similar, lower than normal pressure to our north, some slightly higher than normal pressure to the south, so not expecting a huge change in terms of weather pattern. Still slightly above average in terms of temperatures there. Rainfall though, not seeing maybe quite as many fronts coming in off the Atlantic and affecting more western parts of Britain. So you can see the western fringes of Britain here showing slightly above average rainfall, but down the east coast a bit of a rain shadow as these weather systems come in and weaken, though it won't be quite as much rainfall in eastern areas, and in fact we may end up just slightly below average in terms of rainfall. But this isn't a high pressure that's going to build over Britain and bring lots of dry days. We'll still have some rainfall around, but perhaps just maybe not as much as we would get during a whole week during that time of year. Now, this is week 4, so this is going into the second to third week of October, showing the average jet stream position, and you can see that that's still located across the British Isles, indicating a sort of west to east flow of the air still, and some weather systems coming in from the west. But that's also quite a typical position for the jet stream as we go into autumn, so probably not deviating very much from average, and that shows up in the temperature anomaly, which very near average, if anything maybe just slightly above average, with that continued feed coming in off the Atlantic. And then for the precipitation, almost all of the British Isles showing up near average in terms of rainfall as we go into the 14th to the 20th of October. So again, sort of average-like conditions, perhaps slightly above average temperatures, but nothing significant weather-wise, really. So to sum all of that up, staying unsettled through the end of September and probably even into the first part of October, but I think we will see less wet than we have in the last day or two as we go into that first week of October. Temperatures will be near or slightly above average as we go probably even into the middle of October. And the other thing to mention this time of year, there is no signal of any widespread frost likely, mainly because we're not expecting any large areas of high pressure to set up to bring us those calm, clear clear nights that would lead to frosty conditions in the autumn. So I think a lack of persistent high pressure going to mean that we don't see as much frost perhaps as we would as we go toward the middle part of October at this stage. So thank you very much for watching the Weatherquest Farming Forecast. If you'd like to get in touch, you can email us at info@weatherquest.co.uk, or you can go on Twitter and hashtag WQ Farming Forecast. But thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next week.